If y'all haven't looked up the National Prayer Service with Trump in attendance, get on that. So Bishop Budde did her sermon on transgender, gay, and lesbian immigrants, people who are scared. She was talking about service workers in the hospital and in the factories. And she pleaded with Trump. She was saying to have compassion. And she asked Trump to have mercy. When y'all go look up that service, I want y'all to zoom in on Tiffany Trump. Honey, Tiffany said it all without one word. And I want to say this to Tiffany. Tiffany, you don't know me, so allow me to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Riri. And as a fellow black sheep and not being daddy's girl, I know that look. So you and me, we here. Anyways, the reporters asked Trump if he liked the service. He said no, they could have did better. Now, this is very important. I'm not joking when I say this, okay? The very compassion that you give to others is the exact same compassion that will be given to you. The same mercy that you give others is the exact same mercy that God will have upon you. So Tiffany, listen, honey, you might as well come on in. You are not like them.
You know, for this app to be so free speech, they sure are censoring a lot of this content when people are trying to call out these Republicans and this bullshit. I'm just watched a clip where Trump, Melania, JD Vance, and his wife are sitting at the front row of a church getting called out to their face, and you should see their facial expressions. Let me show you this. Now, as you can see, this is JD Vance and his wife, and this is Trump and his wife. Well, look at how she's looking. I don't know who that is. But look at her. She is so pissed to be here. Look, she is so pissed to have to be back in this White House next to this loser. But anyway, let's get to the clip.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you.
Look at this.
And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
Look at his face. Look.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families.
Look at his face. Look how his face changed.
Who fear for their lives. And the people.
I don't care.
The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens.
Look at this.
Or have the proper documentation.
Look.
But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Look at this.
They pay taxes and are good neighbors.
Look.
They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful.
The only two paying attention the entire time.
For we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They can do much better.
Welcome to Echo Room Vibes. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself because this next one is layered. It's sharp and is one of those moments that makes you sit up straighter in your chair. Credit to the originators and stitches of the video. Y'all sparked this conversation. Now let's get into it and we'll be back for more commentary.
You never know who it's going to be that's going to hold up that mirror that shows you yourself. And then what you see in the reflection may not be what you like. This bishop just did that to Donald Trump, his family, J.D. Vance, and his wife, and they sat there stunned at what they heard. This member of the clergy, this woman of the cloth, gave Donald Trump and the folks around him a lesson in compassion, humility, and what it is really like to be godlike and patriotic. And they had to sit there and listen to it. They did not like what they heard. Good for her. I hope he listened. I hope they, the folks around him, listened. And I hope MAGA listens as well. Do unto others.
Love this video. Don Lemon is totally spot on here. And if you guys have not seen the clip of Bishop Mariann Budde giving these remarks in front of Trump, you absolutely need to go watch it. I dare you to watch that clip without crying. You can feel the compassion in that lady's voice. So definitely go watch the clip, but I also want to give a quick shout out to Don Lemon. I gotta give props to Don Lemon. If you don't know his recent history, basically he was fired from CNN, and then he went over to X. And this was right after Tucker Carlson started Tucker on X. So when Don Lemon went over there, everyone was like, oh God, great. Don's going to suck up to Elon. But Don's first big thing was he interviewed Elon Musk. And he gave Elon the toughest fucking interview of his life. Elon was squirming throughout the entire interview. To the point where right after, Elon severs ties with him, fires Don. So Don's out on his own again. So then Don Lemon lands over here at TikTok. And when he gets here, he doesn't just bring a news show here. He assimilates to the culture of TikTok. Okay, Don Lemon's on here doing memes. He's doing overlays, reactions. Don Lemon goes live and just reacts to the news and talks to people. I love it. Okay, I love to see it. So I really wanted to give props to Don for being here and being a part of our family. I love it. All right? Good work, dude. All right, love you guys.
At this point, I believe it's safe to say that most Americans have seen the Bishop Mariann Budde's sermon at the National Prayer Service in Washington, D.C. And let me just start with this. Her sermon is not about being woke or political. Her sermon is about the gospel. Her sermon is the gospel. Historically, Christians have been at the forefront of social justice movements. And it's ultimately guided by our faith's call to love, equality, and dignity. And the call to justice is not just about words, but also about action. Y'all, her prayer was rooted in the desire for unity, which then leads to respect, dignity, and humility for all people. The beautiful thing is our nation really needed to hear, obviously, what the Bishop Mariann Budde had to say to us and to our political leaders during this time.
Welcome back, guys. So picture this. You've got Donald Trump, his family, J.D. Vance, and all the political insiders sitting there thinking this national prayer service is going to be a polite routine event. Nothing more than ceremonial words and some head nodding. But then out steps Bishop Mariann Budde and suddenly the room changes. This wasn't the kind of sermon you just smile through. This wasn't about flowery words or empty gestures. This was about putting a mirror up to power, and the reflection looking back wasn't flattering. She didn't speak as a partisan figure. She spoke as a spiritual leader. And the message, compassion, humility, dignity. Things we don't hear much in Washington anymore. What's powerful here is that her words weren't directed only at Trump, even though he was the most visible target. Her message went straight to the culture that's grown around him, a culture that confuses arrogance with strength, cruelty with honesty, and domination with patriotism. When she said what she said, The discomfort in the room was real because truth has a way of making people shift in their seats. Now, let's pause on this for a second. Historically, the church has been at the center of social justice movement, whether you're talking about abolition, civil rights, or immigrant rights. Clergy have often been the ones who broke through with moral clarity when politics fell short. And here, Bishop Budde picked up that tradition, reminding everyone that faith is supposed to be about care, not cruelty, about service, not self-promotion. And here's what's so striking. She didn't come with anger, she came with clarity. Her call wasn't just do better, but see each other. That's radical in today's climate. Because when you strip away all the political theater, the insult and the noise, what she was saying is simple. A nation without compassion for all its people has no soul. Now let's step back. The fact that this sermon blew up online isn't just about what she said. It's about the timing. At a moment when so many Americans are divided, where everything feels like it has to be framed as left versus right, here comes a bishop saying, this isn't about politics. This is about morality, and morality doesn't have party lines. And you could see it on their faces. Trump and company weren't prepared. They weren't expecting to be reminded of the gospel in its purest form. Love thy neighbor, do unto others, seek justice. It wasn't coded. It wasn't softened. It wasn't performative. It was raw truth spoken in a sacred place directed at those who wield power. Now, some will dismiss it. They will say, oh, she's just another woke preacher. Or this was a political ambush. But let's be clear. There was nothing woke about what she said. Unless, of course, you think the words of Jesus himself, love, humility, service, are suddenly political. That says more about the listener than the speaker. And here's where it gets deep. Because what she did in that room wasn't just about confronting one man or one administration. It was about reclaiming the role of moral authority in public life. We live in a time where money, power, and media spin dominate the conversation. But every now and then, someone steps up and reminds us there is a higher standard. Not legal, not partisan, but human. What will MAGA do with that? Probably dismiss it. But the fact that it resonated beyond those walls, that so many people online, black, white, young, old, religious, secular, connected with it, shows us that moral language still has power in America. People are hungry for voices that cut through the noise with integrity. So let me end here. Bravery comes in different forms. Sometimes it's in protest, sometimes in elections, sometimes in art, and sometimes it's in a pulpit, spoken with calm authority, in a room full of people who would rather not hear it. That's what the bishop gave us, not a performance, but a reminder. And maybe, just maybe, those who were least comfortable in that room were the ones who needed it the most. Now I want to hear from you. Was this sermon a turning point or just another viral moment? Do you think leaders like Trump actually hear these words of messages, or do they just brush them off as noise? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just about one speech. It's about whether we as a nation still respond to truth when it's spoken plainly. Thanks for watching from Echo Room Vibes. Peace out.